Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are showing off a replay from one of my good clanmates, one of my good friends, Murakamo, aka the very famous high damage dealer player. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, we have a really fantastic game for you guys today. He sent this replay over a little while ago, finally got around to it. And as you noticed, he kind of came in late. Unfortunately, his computer's a little bit slow. So yeah, he's a little late to the party. And as you probably can guess, it's a tier 10 battle. There are Republic Kerfers on the enemy team. Not in a lot of way of cruisers. There's only 3 cruisers on the enemy team. But about 4 destroyers, which is very much what the Minotaur loves to see, is a lot of destroyers. And as you're probably aware, I do like the Minotaur. I think I actually like the Neptune a little bit more. I know, heresy. But I do. I like the Neptune a little bit more than the Minotaur. Minotaur is still a really good ship. Definitely gets shot on quite a bit because it does have its very significant vulnerabilities. But in the right hands, it can be a downright monster. So they are playing on well, everyone's favorite map, Tears of the Desert, or aka Tears of the Cruisers, which, fortunately for Murakamo here, he does at least see that Buffalo, and he does have the support of the Yamato and the Alsace right behind him. This Buffalo is just currently focused on the destroyers, and he opens up, and there is a Republic about 20 some kilometers away, which is kind of ballsy, if truth be told. And this is why I like the Minotaur. Against broadside targets, it can downright chew up a cruiser. And obviously there goes the enemy Buffalo. Yamato gets the very first kill of the game. And obviously Murakamo's not in any real position where he wants to be charging down a Republic and a Kerr first. But at least we do know where the enemy tier 10 battleships are. Actually, then again, the friendly tier 10 battleships are all on the north hand side. Don't know why the north hand side, but it is what it is. And as you can see, this is Epicenter, which just makes it that much more exhilarating. Now, honestly, I think it would be fun if he had ran the radar and pushed into the center with all those juicy DDs around. But instead, he is kind of sitting on the northern side. He might be using his smoke, but right now, with the fact that all these ships are so far away, even though the Republic is now just kind of charging in. Now, one thing a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say really forget, is that even though they are 10-kilometer torpedoes, they are still very good choice, especially if a target is pushing in as heavily as this Republic is. And one nice thing, obviously, about the Minotaur is it's the stealthiest cruiser in the game, which does allow it to push in quite heavily towards a target. And I do see a random spider just floating down from the air to land on my computer screen. Sorry about that. But anyways, he does pop his smoke, begins opening it up. He actually opens up on the Republic, which honestly is not a terrible target, but it does mean it takes a lot longer for the shells to actually arrive on target, and more likely they will actually miss. Now, granted, the Republic is somewhat angled to Murakamo here. And also, this Republic has to be aware that there is a angry smoke cloud firing very quickly at him. That there might be a possible threat of torpedoes, but he waits to almost the very last second and somehow manages to dodge all of those torpedoes, because of course RNG blessed those torpedoes with a battleship size gap. And now this Republic is just charging in, even with a Montana and a Yamato and another DD charging in, trying to catch sight, I'm assuming, of Murakami in the smoke, I really don't know the positioning. He is way too far forward. He's obviously not a secondary build as far as I can tell, because the secondaries are not blazing away. It looks like, okay, yes, they are shooting away, but he's so far forward. And honestly, if I was Murakami right now, I'd be focusing that Kagero. The Kagero's a much juicier target, because the Kagero has taken out the Z-52, and the friendly team have also lost their North Carolina. And while this was all happening, the enemy team have been able to sink about 4 ships. And yeah, see right there, the Kagero I think would have been a much better choice, because it's a much more dangerous target than a Republic. Republic was in no real real threat to Murakami. Definitely should have probably focused down that DD. And obviously he is aware that he is out of smoke, and it doesn't look like he's running priority target. Fortunately, that friendly smoke by the Z-52 does kind of save his bacon. He is able to kind of sit behind it and just pummel away at this Kerfus. And herein lies another issue with the Minotaur, is the fact that it struggles against targets that are bow in. It doesn't do that much damage. Fortunately, that Kerfus does go down to some torpedoes. Murakami does land a couple torpedoes as well. So, fairly nice damage at the moment. 107,855 points of damage. Well, once again, the enemy team is still ahead, at least by 1 ship. They still have 4 of the destroyers, and unfortunately for the friendly team, especially the Montana, there's a Kagero around, and I have no idea what this Alsace is doing either. Its positioning is so far out. You can kind of see how the positioning on the enemy team is definitely a little bit better, because they're more grouped together. They're actually towards the goal, the objective of this map, and they're supporting each other. Granted, there is a Xin Yang that is trying to chase down these battleships. Not the very best position for him. Daring is spotted. Torpedoes incoming. Is Murakami going to eat a torpedo? Looks like he should be good. But he turns the fat ass of the Minotaur right into those. But this Daring is pretty much screwed. Not much he can really do. But as long as he can get rid of this Daring before those battleships get some shot off, he should be fine. There we go. Daring is finally down. And surprisingly, Murakami actually didn't get shoot. He didn't get shoot a lot. He didn't get shot at, which is kind of amusing. But he does have a North Carolina around 9 kilometers away, and is using the benefit of the smoke screen to obviously pummel away against this North Carolina. Gets some very nice defended base capture flags, which is very beneficial. Now he doesn't do single spread, which is not the worst choice, because single spread is very dangerous to battleships or cruisers, or any ship for that mention, because obviously if one torpedo hits, all of the torpedoes hits, but if they miss, they all miss. So widespread is a little bit more of a guarantee as far as torpedoes are concerned. Is still pummeling away, but once again, the North Carolina is bow in, and his damage potential is significantly less. So you can see he's only getting around maybe a few hundreds to maybe a couple thousand, but that's about it. Fires his second spread because, oh, look at there, there's a battleship gap between those torpedoes. And yes, you could probably argue that he should have fired single spread. But with the fact that this North Carolina is now actually starting to push forward, even those torpedoes are going to miss. Does manage to get the kill on that North Carolina. That is kill number 3 for Murakami. Enemy team is at moment ahead by 1 ship. Fortunately, the enemy destroyers are now being detected. He is starting to focus the Fletcher, but unfortunately the Fletcher does manage to at least slip by, and things are not looking good for the friendly team. They've just lost their second last destroyer, and they only have a Yamato left, a Wichita, and a Singyang is focusing down the Hindenburg, and this is why I like the Minotaur. Because against those broadside targets, you can do just absolutely devastating work. Does look like he's firing a little bit forward. Oh, does get a Citadel on the Hindenburg at that range. Holy crap, that is impressive. But unfortunately, this Wichita pushed in against the Hindenburg, and obviously Hindenburg is going to have torpedoes. Does eat a torpedo, but does manage to survive. Enemy team is still ahead of one ship. They still have a near full health Jean Bart. Looks like they lost their Alsace. The friendly Alsace, I'm assuming, probably went down to torpedoes. That would be my assumption. Is reversing, trying to get those torpedoes off. Does lose 2 of them. But hopefully we'll still catch that Jean Bart. And there is the enemy Ognivoy. Hopefully that Ognivoy will push around the corner. But unfortunately that Jean Bart is now detected. Murakamo does instantly start going forward. Oh, is that Ognivoy going to eat torpedoes? Nope. But unfortunately that Ognivoy has now just detected the torpedoes that were meant for the Jean Bart. Instantly focuses on the Kagero. Good choice. Probably could have slowed up just a teensy bit, because unfortunately I think this Kagero is going to get torpedoes off. That is going to be one dead Yamato. Yamato's caught between a rock and a hard place, and he does have to be really careful because there is an Iowa. There's also the Jean Bart all around him. Those destroyers have been able to pretty much rule the entirety of this battle. Now the enemy team is ahead in points. They're ahead in ships by at least 2. And what is this Kagero doing? I think he's trying to detect Murakamo for the Iowa. Does get detected for a moment. But let's see. Try and figure out who's detecting him. Oh, it's the Ognivoy. Always switch into those torpedoes. Does spot the Ognivoy. Ognivoy is, yeah, get wrecked pretty much. Should be able to take care of this. Singyang is obviously well aware. There's a Jean Bart. Does not want any piece of that. There we go. Singyang is finally dead. All that's left on the enemy team is this enemy Jean Bart. And this is where it can get fun for a Minotaur. If you're able to get through it all and push in and get your torpedoes off, and ooh, yeah, that's no good. That's no good at all. Does take a big hit from the enemy Jean Bart. Does take out the Jean Bart, gets a Kraken Unleash high caliber. Has to survive this salvo. Does survive the salvo from the enemy Iowa. Does switch over to single spread. And this Iowa is pretty much screwed. Let's see, is his back turret even facing this direction? Yes, but not enough time. Ooh. Does get the salvo off, but devastating strike. That is kill number 6 for Murakamo. All that's left on the enemy team is a enemy Fletcher. And there's the Wichita trying to assist at very long range. And oh, lo and behold, the enemy Fletcher is just behind the corner. And guess what the Minotaur is really good at? It is good at taking out enemy destroyers. This is why I love the Minotaurs. Or better yet, the British cruisers. They're a lot of fun, especially if you get in that knife fight situation, just like Murakamo was. Oh, it's so fun. I love doing that. So we do know Fletcher's obviously behind the island. At least one spread of torpedoes has been fired towards Murakamo. And the torpedoes reload very quickly on the Minotaur too, which is a lot of fun. And there is the enemy Ognivoy complaining in chat. Let's see, where's this Fletcher? Is he going around the island? This would be the best time for radar. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, this is going to be a kill. So as you can see, definitely a victory for Murakamo in the Minotaur. He earned Confederate Devastating Strike, Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber, 265,199 points of damage, 569 shell hits, 10 torpedo hits, 7 kills, 2 floodings, 1 Citadel on that Hindenburg, which is just hilarious to actually see, and 6 defended base capture. He was top of his team with a base XP of 2,800. Most of his damage came from those 2 battleships, 50,000 off of the Iowa, 47,000 off the Republic, and 30,000 off the Jean Bart. So definitely a very nice game. Torpedoes did 97,000. Main batteries did 166,000. So overall, not a bad game from Murakamo. Thank you guys so much for joining in. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Side Gen.